So this is for the bird quilt. So we've got a long rectangle to do. And if you have a look on the patchwork, we're going to have a light border, and then we're going to have a slightly darker centre. So you need to do a fabric pull of what you've got, unless you're doing the kits, and then it's all there for you. But this is how I'm going to do the fabric pull for the kits, because that's what we're doing. So go for your light colours. Now I want like these frosty colours. So just pick anything that's in that kind of range. So we've got plains, we've got petites, we've got the watercolours where there's no real pattern on it, and we've got ones where we do have a pattern on it. And then go for a slightly darker shade. So I've mainly got batiks, I think, here, so I might need to go and have a bit more of a hunt. Okay, and then have a look what you've got and try and be a bit more adventurous about it. So don't just go for one colour. So I want those frosty blues, but I've got some nice greens and teals and turquoises. I've gone into little bits of purple. I've got some darker ones. I've got ones which are muckier, you know, as opposed to the clearer blues. So we've got, so in terms of, so you've got clear ones, you've got mucky ones, or not mucky ones, grayer ones. And just see, you know, this one's got a little bit of pinks and oranges in there. And just get all of them out so that you've got something that you can work with, and then see which ones you like. Ooh, I don't like that one, so I don't like these ones. And take those ones and just put them to the side and see what you got left with. So I do like, so I think on these ones I've got to decide whether I want to go for the clearer tones with these, the cooler colours, or whether I want to go a bit bolder. Now I really like the look of these ones here. Maybe not that one. I got these the other day and they're really pretty. I've used them in quite a bit so far, but it's kind of, I think they're like a dusty blue. But I'm really liking those ones in here, and I think they go with those ones. So I think they're like the main ones that I'd like to do. So I could start popping these up on the wall a little bit here. So these are the kind of ones that I would really like to get in. So that's where I kind of want to start with, and then just see which ones go with those. And we're going for these around the outside as a kind of border, and I don't really want too much going on, so I'm going to have to be careful of ones like that which have got quite a there's quite a lot going in there, more of a higher volume. In the centre we've got little squares, and they give the advantage you can have some kind of pops of colours going in there. So I could be braver and pop in ones like that without having to commit to like a big square of it. On the edge, they're either squares on the corners or quite long rectangles. So whatever we're going to do, we're going to have quite a bit of it. So probably not too busy on those ones, and we can go for lights. So there's you could do anything really at this point. It's quite a busy little quilt. There's quite a lot going on. So we don't really want a huge amount of variation in anything. So bear that in mind. So I shall be back when I've got mine cut out. Okay, so I said we were going to go for those dusty blues, wherever they've gone, these ones. And then, well, clearly we haven't. So I thought I'd better just have a little pause and update. So what I decided to do is first I've just picked the one colour that I just thought yummy. And it was this one. So I really like this one. So once I put that one in, I then went for that one. Because we've got there's three large squares going along. So defining those two gives it a little bit of shape. So, and in terms of where we can put busier pieces, this square here and this square here don't really have anything on them, and if they're busy, I don't think they will. It won't matter. We're not going to like have a bird like right in the middle of that and it'll, you know, distract from it or anything. So this square and this square could really be our kind of more exciting ones if we want to put a busier print or just that pop of colour. So I've started pinning some of the ones around the outside. So the ones which are cut are ones I've kind of committed to, because I'm quitting kits at the same time because I'm very brave. So also means that where you might just have like a little scrap of fabric, I've got to have enough to do several at the same time. So once you've kind of got it going, it makes it a little easier. So of all these fabrics, I've got quite a few of these now won't go. So if I try and put this one in, I mean, I could go that way. If I took this one out here, I could kind of pull in more of those blues, but green. We've also got to think about what we're putting on here. So we've got robins, and we've got holly berries. So immediately we're pulling in that red, which if you've done your colour wheel and everything, everyone, you know, green is the thing. So we're going to have these greens, and putting these kind of colours in is really going to allow us to kind of allow those reds to pop a little. So I think we could go for here, maybe something, well actually no, let's define the next big one. So I think something like this would be nice and safe here. And that's obviously not quite big enough, but I have got more of it. I think that there would work well. And then we need something. So we could, this one here, it's got the volume, so there's stuff going on with that one, so that would be there. But I kind of feel like that would be a nice finishing piece over here. What's my pins? Where's my pins? I think that would kind of work over there, which then I think we could kind of just go with lean into the greens here. Although we could go. Is that too similar? Too similar maybe? I mean, that one is quite brave because just take that one down. If we went for, we'll just put a bit of this off because oh no, I've got a bit. If we went for this one here, then that's got some yellows. Some actually, well, see that's the thing really with these hand-dyed ones. Is some of them have got more of the yellows in than others. Just depends on which bit you get. When I cut kits, I make sure that I don't cherry pick. So I cut all my kits and then I just pick the one off the top, and that's mine, so that I don't say, you know, I haven't got like the really nice one. It's just the way it goes. I mean, that does jazz it up quite nicely then, doesn't it? The other way we could go is we could go for some purples, because we do have a little touches of purples in there, and that's quite a purpley toned blue. So you just got to kind of just put them up and have a look and see how they go. I mean, it's not bad. Could work. I think I'm going to need to see it a little bit more. Where's my scissors? Oh, honestly, my sewing rooms are totally a mess. There's some scissors. So I'm just going to snip a little bit rather than just to see if I like it. I'm kind of thinking no, but you know, you don't know these things until you try them out. But I'm kind of thinking it looks a bit the odd man out there. So I think, see, that's another really nice one, but see, I could cut it out enough for me, but I couldn't cut it enough out for everyone else. I think maybe we play it safe and just go for concentrating on bringing that green tone in there. I think. Yeah, I think that's nice. So I found some other ones which would go on the outside here. So I could put all these turquoisey ones away. Although, is that the same colour? Nope, that's slightly bluer. Some of these ones are really very similar, because when it comes around to me labelling them up, and you have got to try and work out which fabric you used, it can be a new box of pins. Oh, what a treat. I always am pinning up this way. Try not to knock them on the floor. I don't really trust myself with box of pins because I tend to knock them all over. Yeah, I think that's looking nice. Now I have got some lighter ones. We've got that nice spotty one, so that's rather fun, isn't it? Perhaps put that on maybe one of the corners where it's not going to interfere with any birdie or anything. There we go. So we've got the kind of bluer tones in over here. We've got pops of quite bright turquoise, and we've got the green, and then around the outside we're just going to play it fairly safe and just maintaining that lighter colour. So in the pattern, there's quite a few of these rectangles, aren't there? 1, 2, 3. There's 8 big rectangles. So don't feel like you have to make every. I'm probably not stood in the thingy. Don't feel like you have to make every piece a different colour. It's fine to have one over here and repeat it again over there. I often do that. It just helps tie everything in, and it just depends on how big your stash is, trying to make sure you've got all the colours. On the other hand, it gives you opportunity to bring in a slightly different shade if you want to. So I could, if I could find a scrap of this one, you know, I could add in just a lighter one there, and that's a very, very light grey, you know, and that would also look nice. So yeah, so my point here would be, pick the fabric you would really like in it, for which for me it was this one, and then see how you go, and be prepared to put some of the colours that you were going to use out of the way and keep on going with how it naturally flows. And I'm all done. So this is what I've ended up with, which, and I put the lid on my pins before I knock them over, and it does show to, you know, get that fabric pool big enough that things can happen. You know, you don't want to just pick what, you know, make yourself too narrow and not give yourself any choices. So I think this has, it's quite green, which I was thinking more blues when I was planning it out in my head, but it definitely has that frosty feel. And we've got things like, I don't remember what's on it. It's got mistletoe coming down here. It's got some holly leaves, and we've got I think there's red berries coming down here. We've got bows, and we've got the fat balls, which the birds are sat and perched on, depending over the quilt. But I've also put in little baubles, so depending on what colour background you've done, you could make those baubles any colour, and that would help tie it in if you pick different things. So I mean, I've got these greens, of which can easily be tied in with the greens in the what to call it, but I could put in a really zingy turquoise as a bauble, say. I've not really got a very zingy turquoise within reach, but, you know, but if I popped in something there, then that would pull out those colours. So don't be afraid to be a bit bolder with it, because we're going to be able to, it's not like it's just a patchwork quilt. We've got the applique, and that gives you the opportunity to play a little bit more, so be bold. Okay, and what you need to do now is, this should be the end of the first day. You should have everything cut out, so what you need to now is go and tidy your sewing room. Don't leave all this out, okay?